Hey, welcome back to The Way with Jazz and Tay. It's your girl Jazz and
Shantae.
We do have a special guest on with us, Mira Kraft. Say what's up.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for being here. So before the break, we did our very quick little The Way and Not the Way. And now we're going to go ahead and get into our interview with Mira. So what we're going to be talking about is her company, MKPR, as well as discuss some of the other girl boss things that she does, like her partnership with Park Ave. And, we're friends with Scarlett Park. We love her.
Yeah.
First and foremost, congratulations on 4 years of your company, MKPR.
Thank you. It's long 4 years.
I was going to say, that's a really big feat.
That's a milestone. Tell us a little bit more about that. Like, tell us more about the company and like how it feels to be in it 4 years.
Yeah, I always like to say I'm like 2 years and some COVID time. You know what I mean? I'm like, or like 3 years and some COVID time. But
oh yeah, wow, that's great.
Yeah, I measured a little bit differently. Things were happening, everyone had to repivot so much. It almost feels like a reset. But yeah, I started back in 2017. I quit my corporate job and went out to Europe to work with a client that I was managing. And I guess thought process then was I've worked with clients around, I've been lucky enough to travel. I have family in the UK. And so I've spent time over there, and I've just gotten to see like both obviously our like unmatched talent in the Seattle music scene. And then I was also going over to the UK and seeing a lot of music and a lot of branding energy that was super cohesive with what's going on over here. And so it was really just kind of about going out there, checking out the opportunities, seeing, who from the States could we be bringing out over there, who that I'm working with over there can come out to Seattle or LA and show their talents. And it's really also cohesive with what Park Ave is doing, and just kind of like allowing musicians and amazing talent to network and just connect the dots and watch amazing creativity happen from there. So that's just kind of like the foundation. It feels crazy that it's been 4 years now. I can't believe that. It definitely, I'm like, oh my God, which it's like, it's bittersweet. I think sometimes, just like, I'm sure you guys can relate, like just the feeling of being, start having your own work that you're in charge of. There's like a lot of imposter syndrome that can come in with that. And just like, I've had to force myself to take myself seriously and really kind of, and then also, humble myself as needed when I need to like really, pay attention to what I need to be learning and stuff like that. But
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been both a contrast of like imposter syndrome, but then also feeling like, whoa, I've been working full time in my own company. Like I'm, somehow, if someone were to ask me like how I've been surviving financially, like when starting your company, like I have no idea. Somehow I'm here. Somehow I'm here, but like that is such a just like, that's not a copy and paste template as far as when you're getting started. It's just like, it's so just the variables all change what happens. So yeah, I'm just here kind of in awe and ready to keep going, I guess.
I'd like to kind of go back to something that you said while answering that question. So you said that during COVID, you kind of had to pivot. So what your company was going to look like, 2 years or 2 years ago, and what it looks like now has to be completely different. So how did COVID change the way you were working and the way you were doing things?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I guess obviously the biggest thing that affected our creative industry is just the fact that we couldn't be doing events. I met you guys through events, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's such a big part of our world. And not being, and it's a big part of the money that we're able to bring clients. That even Park Ave was generating over $100,000 a year prior to COVID for its artists in the programs that it was doing. So that's something amazing that Scarlett was able to do, and to have all of those opportunities just completely like whoop, no, we couldn't go perform, nothing could happen. So just kind of really repivoting in, yes, like we know now we have more time to make the content that we'd already been talking about, but like where do we start thinking of revenue and what's going to be coming in while touring isn't happening, while we're not selling merch at shows, while whatever. So just kind of really finding, I think COVID forced a lot of people to rebuild their foundation and like reassess, like, you know, this is what I know I need to have so that I'm okay no matter whether we're in quarantine or not. And then, you know, but it also shows you the parts of your company that are resilient and long lasting, right? Like what are the little black dresses of your work that are just timeless, that, you know, it doesn't matter where in a pandemic we are, like that's something that always is going to have a demand that you can supply. So I think just, like, there's similarities in my company in the sense that MKPR exists to help people brand themselves. I think a lot of people hear PR in the company name and assume that it's just to do PR and get press. But I'm a strong believer that your best PR is word of mouth. And so MKPR exists to like help clients tell people how to talk about them. So that's still the same. And then the ways that we fundraise and bring in money, and maybe the types of events that we're doing, or even conversations that are being held, if it's a panel or something like that, that's what's shifted around the times.
Okay. That's very cool. And I loved your answer. I also love that analogy of the little black dress, you know, the things that are timeless. We definitely were forced to pivot as well, but, you know, there were staples of obviously what we were doing. I think it's very easy to take a podcast virtual, but I think we actually kind of relished in being in quarantine because we were like, we can make all the content. So I definitely appreciate that. What does a day in the life look like for you?
Oh man. Well, okay, let's see. That can be so different. Like, I think it really just, because I'm working with so many different clients, a day kind of is a little bit of whiplash. It's definitely like all over the place. And right now I'm working with Nikita on their campaign. So a day in the life right now is definitely like, it's kind of weird. I'll be sitting in a studio and we're going over songs and mixes, and then I'll get a call on like some initiatives that I need to answer the campaign for and phone for, hop out of the room. So just a lot of different types of art. I think I'll go from one meeting kind of going over music, and then I'll maybe meet with, you know, a different startup that I'm working with that we're figuring out their marketing. And then I might be going to a meeting where we're talking about a different panel. So it's just a lot of different types of conversations.
Right.
You know, it's not necessarily all within the same niche. So a day is just kind of, it covers a lot of ground. Or to be honest, a day in the life of might also just be some like Netflix and me living my best life at my life.
Absolutely.
Hey, no, exactly.
Yeah, gotta have both.
That's self-care. That's self-care right there.
And you've got to schedule that in, especially as a small business owner. Like, because I read a meme recently and it was like, you know, people are always saying like ditch your 9 to 5 and start your own business, but then you realize once you start your own business that you work 24/7.
Work way more,
So I definitely get that. To that point of it, how do you balance or juggle all of those meetings, and like do you use any like technology or like a Trello board to keep yourself organized? Like what do you do to just make sure that you're not dropping any balls and that you're meeting all your clients' needs?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. I'm like, let me think of other ways I can keep doing that. I have different apps for different clients. So because some of my clients where, you know, some I might be working with on project management, which means that I'm not going to necessarily be managing their inbox, but some clients I do. So, I mean, my email gives me enough like of one ulcer alone. So I have to have a completely different like app and inbox for my clients so that it's not just like all coming in on one spot. And then also just like I'm Google, I'm a free ad for them. I use every single app in existence. Google Keep saves me. It allows you to like tick off what you've been doing and check it off, but it still shows you so I can keep track. And then I have like notes of what to monitor. Like if I've put placeholders for events, I need to know to monitor it and take it off if it was confirmed or not. Like I'm someone that always in my head, I'm like, oh, I'll remember that. No, I won't. Like, I won't. No, I will not. I will not remember that. So I've gotten into a routine of no matter how little I think like, oh, it'll be fine. Like, no, no, it won't. So
at least write it down.
Write it down. Write it down. So I have just like a to monitor note that just like reminds me of stuff. You might find like Post-it notes stuck to me sometimes when I'm walking around. So it's just, I'm just, you know, it's a little, it's well-oiled, different machines per client. You know what I mean? It's like different organization methods based on what we're doing.
I like that. I definitely think not going with the one size fits all, but going with like what works for that client is a really great approach.
Yeah.
Do you have a staff? Like, do you have people that work for you or like with you?
Sounds so fancy, a staff. I do not have a staff that I'm like delegating to. I do have a team. I have a team that I work with. I have a great intern who during COVID, she went off to repivot as well. So just starting to kind of like assess. Now that it looks like events are kind of coming back, rehiring an intern is definitely first on the list. But I do have a team. I mean, it's like, here's the thing, the projects change so much. So I have kind of like a Rolodex of people that I'm so grateful to be able to bring in when it's applicable. Okay. So I definitely do have if you check out my website, it lists the different people that I work with. So like different photographers or different graphic designers that would be available to work with my clients on a project by project basis.
Cool. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
I know, you like it.
I'm here for it.
So I checked out your shout out LA article. Congratulations on that. It was really great. Really found some things that resonate with how we work and kind of how we felt about some stuff. And I guess I kind of want to go back to the whole being at 4 years. So, you know, hindsight is always 2020. What piece of advice would you give yourself at the very beginning of those 4 years, or what piece of advice would you give someone who's looking at this same career path?
Oh man. It's funny because I always joke that I think I needed a little bit of the ignorance when I started. I was so like, I think, energy came along with that ignorance. You know what I mean? I think a lot of not knowing. And again, now knowing the hardships I've gone through in this adventure, I would still do it. There's nothing that I would change or go back, but I think not knowing some of the feelings and just the hardships and stress that you're going to feel on that journey was really necessary, especially for me I had a really comfy corporate job that I had worked really hard to move up in. So like quitting something that was such a predictable income for me and like one that matched my lifestyle was really hard. So I think I definitely like needed that part of me that just thought everything would be okay a lot quicker. You know what I mean? I guess the advice I would just have is for someone just kind of getting started, or at least what I would have given myself, is to really value like the time and steps and realize that there's not just this one moment where the opportunity is going to arrive on a silver platter. You know what I mean? It's just not. And I mean, one quote I really love is, luck is when preparation and opportunity meet. So it's like, you know, it's really, it's kind of a lot of hurrying up and waiting. You know what I mean? You've got to always be prepared. And you want to be open for opportunity, but it's up to you to create what's going on, especially in this world where you're deciding to be your own boss and own your own business. It's really up to you. You don't have a boss who's going to yell at you if you stayed home that day. So like, you have to be the one doing that, you know, like hold yourself accountable, treat yourself like someone you would want doing those things for you.
Absolutely.
Because it's hard.
Oh yeah. You said something in your article with Shout Out LA that it really resonated. And you said it was basically a question about, you know, what was it that made you start your business? And you said, if not now, then when? And that resonated with me because that's where we were 3 years ago. We just been talking about it for 2 years. And it was like, so are we going to do this? Or are we just going to keep talking about it? Because like, what are we doing here?
Yes.
And so like, I guess from that, what I want to know, was there like a pivotal moment in your life where you were like, it's today? and if so, what was it? What was that?
You know, it's so funny you ask, because I didn't know that I had an answer to this, but a specific moment came to my head when you just asked me. So before I quit my corporate job, I was kind of like juggling. So I was an artist manager to a hip hop musician, and I was kind of like juggling that. And then I was working as a brand ambassador for a tonic water company. So I was kind of getting my feet wet in the entrepreneurial world, or just kind of like seeing what clicked for me, which is funny. Like, I don't know why that kind of started. I, in my mind, was still very committed to my corporate job, but just kind of couldn't stay away. And I remember one day I had like, I'm always doing the most and think that I can fit a million things in one day. So during my shift, like where I'm supposed to be sitting at my cubicle, I had already booked like a meeting to go meet someone for the tonic water. And then I ran to the studio. And so like I go into the studio session, everyone's like smoking. I come out smelling like smoke. I'm like, I gotta go to the corporate office. Like, I'm like, even what's going on? And I ran in and I got work done, and it was fine. And then my mom came and met me to drop something off, and I hopped in her car really quick outside the corporate lobby. And I was so tired, I just like stopped. I just kind of like sat in her car for a second before getting out. I was like, sorry, I'll get back out in a second. She just was asking me what's up. And I was just like, I'm so exhausted. I was just telling her how much I really wanted to kind of be an entrepreneur and start my own thing and really start working with artists. And my mom is such a G. She just turns to me and she's like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's time to like go be an entrepreneur. Like, what if you want to be one, go be one. What are you thinking is going to get you ready to get started? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like those, and I really, that clicked with me. It's such a simple sentence. Like, if you want to do it. But it was kind of that moment for me where I realized, like, I was expecting to like have this really strong foundation to like go build one. And like, that's not how it works. The opportunity, you have to be out there risking yourself to meet the people that are your next opportunity. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how the networking goes. And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to own your own business, like create the business and own it.
It's so funny that you say that, because that's so true. There's no like, you don't go to college for entrepreneurship or like to be an entrepreneur,
right. No, and that's where I struggled so much. I think I was looking for this, like, come to this university, and when you get out, you're going to be a hella rich CEO. Like, no one was saying that to me, so I had yet to go to college. But if someone did, I might be interested.
Jazz, do you have any questions? I have one more. I wanted to give you the space.
No, you're totally good. I'm really enjoying that, Mira. You are so fun to listen to, and
thank you.
I feel like you're very insightful. You have a lot of knowledge, it sounds like, in what you're talking about. So
thank you.
I'm actually really taking this as like a learning opportunity, honestly.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. Tay, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just ask one more before we go into another quick break. I guess, so you said that networking was a big part of it, and I think that's true with any small business and starting out. You have to know people in order to start a business. So what I wanted to know was, like, how did you build this great network that you have? Was it a lot of face-to-face at events? I know you said in the shout out article that you were an MC at some point. Did you know a lot of these people already? And what did that look like? Also, like, where did you MC at? I just want to know if we've ever been, because I'm like, where was she at?
So that is one of the main reasons that I'm lucky to say that a lot of my friends are just badass creatives doing stuff that I've been lucky to just kind of be in the place and get to witness what they're working on. But so, yeah, I guess my first endeavor was the open mics that I was hosting. And so when I was 21, I kind of I was 20, because the bar that we were hosting the open mic at, I technically was not supposed to be in when I got the gig. And then I actually I celebrated my 21st birthday like at one of my events, and I remember the owner like realizing that and being like, but yeah, I hosted at the Scarlet Tree, and then also at Bear Gallery. I was a big attender and supporter of Cornerstone open mic that was at Fair in Cap Hill. That was like a big staple. And so I got to kind of be in the creative world and experience that. But at that time, I was not thinking of it in that lens where I was like, oh, this is, these are people that I'm going to be working with. And then that was just something that I was always around. I didn't realize, like, hey, Mira, you really love being in the studio, but you're not a musician. Maybe there's something here. But I was just always in the studio, and I was always finding myself thinking of, like, when I hear a song, I start seeing colors for the campaign. I start imagining the music video. I start seeing, like, oh, this bar is like about a bag. Now we might need to like go do this and design this and start marketing with this brand. So that's kind of just what was already naturally happening. And so I think I was lucky enough to kind of already be naturally networking when I didn't know it. And that was a big part. But then also, just kind of like stepping back out in the scene and doing events and just kind of, Seattle's bubble is so interesting. It's really small, but then there's these other pockets where it's like people are completely outside of the scene that we're centered in. And so it's been really interesting to kind of just broaden that horizon and see what people are doing and connect them with other people, because it's like, at the end of the day, I'm just kind of here to be like, you know what? You're a filthy bass player. You're filthy at drums. Like, I really could see you guys hitting it off if you met. You know what I mean? Just kind of connecting those dots.
That's very cool.
That's really dope. That sounds kind of like, DJ Khaled-esque in a way, like he's
Here
always
for it.
Like he's always like, oh, I'm gonna put you and you on a track, and then it's a hit. Like,
Always.
yeah. Like a curator,
Totally.
We're number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We the best.
Period. How do you decipher like a good business opportunity or a client relationship between like the not so great ones, is there something that like they'll do and you're like, that's a no-no?
Right,
like, do you have a no-no list, or are there things that you watch out for?
Totally. Yeah. I actually just went through something similar to this. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think, look, our intuition, like that is our guardian angel, right? Like that is what we have. I'm a full believer in, I mean, my intuition, whether it's had its good days or bad days, is like why I'm sitting here right now. You know what I mean? So I'm a big, I try to pay attention to that and really kind of just like, if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not. Also, I mean, being in LA comes like everyone, I mean, let me preface this with, I'm loving it and there's a lot of opportunity out there. That being said, everyone is there for that opportunity. And so I think you meet a lot of people who can do everything for you. I'm going to change your life. I can, like if you just do da-da-da-da-da with me, like, your whole life will be different. And that's when I hear stuff like that, that's when I'm like, thank you for letting me know you can't do anything. And, like, noted, got it. Okay.
Yes.
You just dropped a million names. You probably can't help at all. So just gut intuition, honestly. I wish that there was a better answer, but that's really what I have. Like, it's just, and sometimes you're wrong, and like the losses I take those as lessons. I know that sounds like a little corny saying, but for real, like, when something goes wrong, I realize like, okay, I could be bummed about this, or I can be hyped that I like have an answer of like how to navigate things and what not to do moving forward. Because a client's gonna ask me
next time. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So just kind of like following that gut. And then I think also one thing really quick is that the opportunities that I have had to say no to, or, quote unquote opportunities that I've had to say no to because something wasn't right. I just trust that like, that wasn't if it wasn't right, then there's nothing to mourn here. You know what I mean? I think also trusting, like, I know that I'm not going to give up. I know that I'm going to do the work for what I want for my life and what my clients want for theirs. And so the beauty in that is knowing that there's going to be some success, and it's not, I think the worst position you can be in when negotiating or networking is in a place of desperation. You never want to feel like, oh, this is the person that's going to do everything, because like, no, we need to be our foundation, and also acknowledge like, no, we can't do everything ourselves. Other, self-made even involves other people,
Oh yeah.
We had someone who tried to, flirt with the idea of like potentially sponsoring us and whatnot. And then like, we realized after a couple, like, we did have like, I feel like professional meetings, but then after a couple, he borderlined on not being professional. We were like,
but I feel like we've run into that multiple times.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And that's the thing.
No, it's whack.
Yeah.
That happened to me last week.
Yeah.
Week.
Like if you come to us about business, that's what it is.
Yeah,
you know, don't try to like once you've gotten in the door on a business front, try
Ain't
to
no pleasure involved.
Okey doke me into, hey, so you trying to get dinner or like something that's just like so inappropriate. Like, why are we even here?
No, completely. That happens seriously. I mean, you know what? When I have a sense that that's their motive, you know, of course, I don't want to assume and just be like rude. If someone has given me a reason, but if someone is giving me those reasons, like especially in LA, I make it clear. Like one guy was trying to pretend that it was, you know, around working for his clients, but like like you said, why are you talking about dinner then, or you know, what's going on?
Yeah.
So like, I make my rates clear. Like I've even cut off someone asking me to dinner and be like, yeah, that first thing that you said about your client, like I really can help here. This is what I do. I feel like I can uplift, and this is what it would cost. Let me know.
There you go. Right. Pivot.
I like that.
Pivot.
You know, like, yeah. And then it's like sometimes people adapt. I've met some people that are like, you know, oh, yep. And they put that side of them away. They save that for someone else, and then they put their business hat on.
And they'll respect you more for that. They know, like, okay, well, she's about her business. Then all right, let's go. You know, I'm not the one. And if you don't, right. And if they don't, then I don't need to, like, I don't have anything to prove, or you know what I mean? It's right.
Whatever. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Those are all really great nuggets.
Very.
We're going to continue our conversation after the break, but we're going to go ahead again and get into a 2 to 3 minute break. Stay tuned. You guys are listening to The Way with Jazz and Tay.
DJ Khaled. All I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there.